So today we are going to discuss about the thyroid gland. So examination point of view, it is important. Several times they ask for 10 marks and as well as they ask for 5 marks also. Uh, you have to write, that means this is the first hormone, you are going to write about the synthesis also. You have to explain the biosynthesis of thyroid hormone and you have to give the note about the functions of the, in detail account about the functions of thyroid hormone if they ask for 10 marks. If they ask for 5 marks, just if you specify the functions of the thyroid hormone, that is sufficient. So let us discuss about the thyroid gland. Can you see the diagram here? Are you able to see? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now just to go through
Yes,
this
sir.
diagram. So this thyroid gland, it is present just below the neck. If you carefully observe this diagram, this part is the left lobe and this part is the right lobe. And you can see that the two lobes are connected with the middle lobe. Can you observe this one? Left lobe and this one is right lobe. And the middle one is connected, the left lobe and right lobe is connected with the middle lobe. We are calling this middle lobe as isthmus. And then you can see that from the middle lobe, one more projection is there that we are calling it as pyramidal lobe. So able to understand left lobe and as well as right lobe. And then the left and as well as right lobe are connected with the middle lobe. From the middle lobe is called as isthmus. And then from the middle lobe, one projection is there that we are calling it as which one? What is that? Pyramidal lobe. Now you observe that in this lobes, you can see a green colored rounded structure. Have you observed the green colored rounded structure? I think you are able to see the green colored round structure. And apart from that, you can see red colored rounded structure. The green colored rounded structure, so it is called as follicular cell. And apart from that, some few numbers of red colored round structures are there. So we are calling it as parafollicular cells. I repeat again, in the follicular, in the, what is that? Thyroid gland, you can see rounded structure, green colored rounded structure. So we are calling it as follicular cells. And then apart from that, one red colored rounded structures are there. We are calling it as parafollicular cells or C cells. The green colored rounded structure follicular cells are concerned with the synthesis of thyroid hormone. So already you might have heard about the thyroid hormone. Two thyroid hormones are there. One is T3 and second one is T4. And then parafollicular cells are concerned with another hormone that is called as calcitonin. So right now we are not going to discuss anything about parafollicular cells. We are concentrating only about follicular cells which are concerned with the synthesis of T3 and as well as T4. These are the two thyroid hormones. I just repeat once again. So this is the thyroid gland and you can see total 4 lobes are there. This is the left lobe and this is the right lobe, and then left and right lobe are joined with the help of middle lobe. We are calling it as isthmus. From the middle lobe, you can see that one more lobe is projected and we are calling it as pyramidal lobe. And in this thyroid gland, you can see a rounded green colored structure and as well as red colored structure. The rounded green color structure, we are calling it as follicular cell. And then the red colored structure, we are calling it as parafollicular cells or C cells. So follicular cells are concerned with the synthesis of T3 and T4, and as well as parafollicular cells are concerned with the synthesis of calcitonin. So we are not going to discuss anything about parafollicular cells. We are concentrating only on the follicular cells. Let us go through the second slide. Now you observe here. Just go through this rounded structure. Can you see this rounded structure? That is follicular cells. This follicular cell I have drawn here. The rounded structure I have drawn here. Is it clear or not? If you observe carefully, this rounded colored structure, you can see that this is follicular cells and it is divided into several cells. You can see several cells are joined together. It will form a single follicular cells. This type of folliculars more in number in one thyroid gland. I repeat again, several, what you can say, cells like cuboidal cells are joined together, round shaped, they are joined together, they form follicular cells. You can see that in the center of this one, you can see an empty space that we are calling it as lumen. I repeat again, several cuboidal cells joined together, it will form a rounded structure. And then in the center, open space will be the tube-like structure is there. We are calling it as lumen. Individually, these cells, we are calling it as thyrocyte or cuboidal cells. It is, thyrocyte is nothing but It is composed of cuboidal cells. Observe carefully again, I repeat. So here this is the follicular cells. I have taken one single follicular cell and have drawn here. You can see that it is a rounded structure. You can see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that 6 or 7 or 8 different types of cuboidal cells. Combined together, it will form a rounded structure. In the middle, you can see the lumen. That means that is a tube-like structure. That means one lumen is shared by the nearly 6 or 7 cuboidal cells. Individually, each and every cuboidal cell, we are calling it as thyrocyte. I repeat again, this is called as thyrocyte. Several thyrocytes combined together, it will form a follicular cells. And you can see the red colored cells, they are called as parafollicular cells. Right now, we are not going to discuss. These are the blood vessels. These are the blood vessels. So now what actually we are going to discuss, you just observe in the third slide. This is the blood vessel and this is the follicular cell, and these are the individual cuboidal cell or thyrocyte. Understood the point or not? Now what actually I am trying to tell. So from here, that means here the T3 and T4 synthesis will take place. In the follicular cells, T3, T4 cells, T3, T4 hormone synthesis will take place. If the body wants to synthesize, if these follicular cells want to synthesize T3, T4, first what should happen? The raw materials required for the synthesis of T3, T4 should be supplied by the blood. Blood will carry the raw materials, and those raw materials will enter into the, which one? Thyroid gland, especially follicular cells. And it enters into the thyrocyte. From the thyrocyte, the raw materials will enter into the middle lumen. This is called as lumen. Observe it carefully. So I repeat again, the raw materials will be transferred to follicular cells from the blood vessel to which one? Thyrocyte. And from here, the raw materials are supplied inside the lumen. And then the lumen will start to process that one, and then it will start to synthesize T3, T4. If T3, T4 are present inside the which one? Lumen, it is of no use. So this T3, T4 should come out of the lumen into the thyrocyte, and from here it should move towards the blood vessel, enters into the blood, and it should be distributed throughout the body. I think you got the clarity. If anybody want to repeat, you just unmute and tell me to repeat. I repeat again. If anybody wants repetition of this point, you just unmute yourself and tell me to repeat. I will repeat again. Everybody have a clarity? Are able to understand the concept here? Any doubts are there? Anybody can unmute and respond me whether you are able to hear or not. One person, you unmute yourself and tell me whether you are able to hear or not. Hello? Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
So any repetition is required this point? Any repetition? So raw materials will be transferred from the blood to this one. Which one? The total structure is called as follicular cells, and this one is called as thyrocyte. It will be transferred to follicular cells of individual thyrocyte, and then the raw materials enter to the lumen, and then the process will start. The raw material process will start. It will start to synthesize the T3, T4, and if it is present inside, it is of no use. It will come outside the lumen into the follicular, that is thyrocyte, and then it will be transferred into the blood vessel. And finally, it will be utilized by the body. So I think you got the clarity about this point. Now, next you come to this slide. You just observe carefully the structure. This is follicular cell. And I already told that these are called as thyrocytes, right? And this is lumen. I told you that the raw materials will enter into the, which one? Thyrocyte. And you can see that this side of the membrane, can you see the lines here? This side of the membrane, through this side of the membrane, this side of the cell, the raw materials will enter. This side of the membrane, it is called as basal membrane. You observe carefully, the membrane through which the raw materials enter inside the thyrocyte, it is called as basal membrane. And then the raw materials will enter inside the thyrocyte. And then the materials, again, it will be pushed towards the lumen. And you can see this membrane. This membrane is called as apical membrane. So you may be getting doubt that why we are discussing this much detail. Remember, you are not going to write anything about these things in the examination, but you should have a clarity. Raw materials, first it enters into the thyrocyte through basal membrane. I repeat again, this is the basal membrane. And then it will be processed here. And then it will be pushed inside the, which one? Lumen. So it enters into the lumen through another membrane called as apical membrane. So it enters through basal membrane and it enters into the, which one? Apical membrane. It will be processed here. Then after processing, the T3 and T4, it will come out of the lumen through which membrane? Apical membrane. It will come out. And then it will be present here. And if it wants to go to blood circulation, and it has to cross the which membrane? Basal membrane. And again, it will enter into the blood circulation. Now, question is why I am stressing about these two membranes here. These two membranes are different, even though it is a single cell. That means this is called as thyrocyte or cuboidal epithelium. It has been designed in such a way that this side of the membrane is different, and as well as this side of the membrane is different. This basal membrane is entirely different, and apical membrane property is different. Is it clear or not? So that means the raw materials which are required are easily enter into through basal membrane, and it will be processed. Like unfinished product will enter into the lumen. So the apical membrane has been designed in such a way that it can easily take what I can say, it will collect the material which are required for the production of T3, T4. Now, question is why I am stressing this particular point and what actually it will be synthesized here. You heard this thyroid hormone, that is T3 and T4, triiodothyronine, and then T4 means thyroxine or tetrahydrothyronine. Tetraiodothyronine. I repeat again, T3 means triiodothyronine, and then T4 means tetraiodothyronine. So you have to understand that the most important raw material which is required for the synthesis of thyroid hormone is tyrosine. What is this tyrosine? This is one amino acid and it belongs to aromatic amino acid. So that means it contains the aromatic structure. Benzene ring will be there. So lot of amount of tyrosine will be present in the thyroid gland. That means thyroid hormone T3, whether it is a T3 or T4. The most, it is nothing but a protein. Thyroid, what you can say, tyrosine, the protein, and it is which one? Proteinaceous hormone or peptide hormone, thyroid hormone T3, T4. So that means it is a protein, means protein is composed of amino acid. But what you have to understand that protein, very rich amount of tyrosine will be present in the T3 and as well as T4. So the most important raw material which is required for the synthesis of T3, T4 is tyrosine. So that means the tyrosine amino acid tyrosine will enter through this blood vessel into the follicular cells or which one? Thyrocyte. And you have to understand that not just tyrosine, other amino acids also are required. So those other amino acids also will enter into the thyroid gland. Now, point what you have to understand, you require a lot of amount of tyrosine and as well as amino acid means definitely you should consume. That means your body should contain lot of amount of tyrosine and as well as other amino acid. If there is any deficiency of these amino acid, whether it is a tyrosine or other amino acid, they cannot enter into the thyroid gland and they cannot process. That means the thyroid gland cannot synthesize the which one? Thyroid hormone. So that means good decent amount of the protein which is rich in tyrosine should be consumed in the diet. That is the first point. Second thing is the thyroid hormone also contains a lot of amount of iodine. You heard about iodine. So this iodine also should be there available in the diet. That means you have to consume through diet a good amount of decent diet iodine, and that iodine also will be transferred from the blood circulation into the which one? Thyroid gland or what is that? Thyrocyte or for example follicular cells. So that means the amino acid and as well as iodine are collected from the blood vessel and it enters into the follicular cells, and follicular cells will start to process this by collecting this tyrosine and as well as which one? Iodine. It will start to process and it will start to synthesize one protein. That means whether it will immediately synthesize T3, T4? No, it is not going to synthesize T3, T4 immediately. First, it will collect the raw material in the which one? Thyrocyte, and then individually. That means iodine separate and as well as tyrosine separate. Slowly, what happens? So it will start to, you heard about the synthesis of protein. You, in the first chapter in the human anatomy and physiology, first in the beginning of the academic year, we studied that the protein can be synthesized by two, which one? Cell organelles. One is like ribosomes and second one is endoplasmic reticulum. I think you remember that one. We are not talking about ribosomes now. We are going to talk about only endoplasmic reticulum. You heard about endoplasmic reticulum, that it is of two types, rough endoplasmic reticulum and as well as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So this, which one? Thyroid hormone. This basic material required for the basic protein required for the thyroid hormone are synthesized in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of the follicular cells. This follicular cells contains endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, all the cell organelles will be present in this, which one? Thyrocyte. So what happens? Endoplasmic reticulum of the follicular cells will start to synthesize the protein which is required for the T3, T4, and it will synthesize the protein. And that protein, what will happen? It enters into the Golgi bodies. So in this cell only, it enters into the Golgi bodies. Already you studied that the Golgi bodies are called as which one? Post office of the cell. It will process, it will pack, and it will deliver the proteins. I think you remember that one. So the Golgi bodies present in this cell, it will what you can say, process the protein, it will pack the protein, and you know that Golgi bodies, it will pack the protein in the three forms. One is granules, second one is vesicles, and third one is lysosomes. Here the proteins are packed in the form of vesicles, not in the form of granules, not in the form of lysosomes. It packs the protein in the form of vesicles. After, what you can say, packing the proteins in the form of vesicle, everything is happening here only. Remember the point. That means synthesis of that protein also taking place here, and these cells, and then the packing of the protein in the form of vesicles also are taking place here in the surrounding. Then after packing, the packed material, the packed protein will be delivered inside the which one? Lumen. Understood the point or not? Synthesis will take place. That means the protein synthesis will take place in the thyrocyte. After synthesis, the Golgi bodies will process. After processing, that means it will pack in the form of vesicles. The vesicles are delivered inside the lumen. So that means finally the protein will be delivered inside the lumen. Then the vesicles will get opened and then the protein will be released in the lumen. Then once it is delivered into the lumen, that protein actually inside, it is available in the form of colloid, sticky material, very, very sticky material. This lumen is composed of very sticky material. And the resultant protein which is present inside this lumen is called as thyroglobulin. So it's a basic material which are required for the synthesis of thyroid hormone, that is T3 and T4. So now finally thyroglobulin is present inside the which one? Lumen. I think you understand the concept. That means it started where? So if you want to synthesize T3, T4, you require tyrosine, you require iodine. Still we have not discussed anything about iodine. I am talking only about which one? Tyrosine. So the which one? The amino acid tyrosine, which is aromatic amino acid, it will start to move from the blood vessel into the which one? Follicular cells or thyrocytes, not follicular cells, thyrocyte. This is the whole follicular cell. This is thyrocyte. It enters into the thyrocyte, and then the tyrosine will be joined with the other amino acid. It will start to rough endoplasmic reticulum of the thyrocyte will start to synthesize the protein, and then that protein will be, what you can say, delivered to Golgi bodies. Golgi bodies will process that particular protein, and then it will pack in the form of vesicles, and then that vesicle will be delivered inside the which one? Lumen. And then the proteins will get opened inside the lumen. That protein is nothing but called as thyroglobulin, which is a sticky material. Are you able to understand or not? So this sticky material is ready. That is the basic component which is required for the synthesis of thyroid hormone is ready inside the lumen. Now, simultaneously, we will discuss another concept here. Now, I told you that the raw materials are required that will be delivered to the blood vessel, etc., etc. I told you. You can see that if you observe very carefully, it appears that it is a very simple concept, but the thing is, so many complications are there. You observe very carefully here. First thing is, you require the material in the blood. You require certain material to synthesize the hormone, and those materials are present in the blood. And those materials should be delivered to the which one? Thyrocyte. And if these materials are not present, automatically you cannot synthesize the thyroid hormone. Consider those materials are delivered to the thyrocyte, and then the cells, that means rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, etc., etc., they will process that material and it will synthesize in the form of protein. And you require so many enzymes for that. And if those enzymes are not present inside the follicular cells, then again you cannot, what you can say, synthesize the sufficient quantity of T3 T4. Then again it should send to the which one, lumen, and then T3 T4 will be ready, and this T3 T4 should be, what you can say, delivered into the blood circulation. Don't expect that very easily and very simple manner this T3 T4 will be delivered into the blood circulation. It requires some process. That means some methodology is there, and certain factors are required to deliver this particular hormones which are present in the lumen. If those factors are missing, automatically we cannot synthesize, we cannot push this T3 T4 into the blood vessel. So these are the basic complications which we will come across during the synthesis of the basic things. I'm talking about very basics about the thyroid hormone. So these are the basic complications we will come across in the synthesis of thyroid hormone. Is it clear or not? Now you unmute yourself and then you can ask the questions. Unmute. Everybody you unmute the, which one? Yourself. Unmute. Yes, questions, please. Any questions? Anybody is having, please? Anyone questions? So if you don't have doubt, you mute yourself. Please mute yourself if you don't have any doubts. If any doubts are there, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the questions. Please. No questions? Say hello. Do you have any questions or no questions? Shall I proceed?
Sir, Varundra, ಯಾರದಿರಲೇ ಸರ್ ಊಟ ಸರ್ ಸರ್
Yes, any questions, please?
Sir,
Tell me, madam.
why there will be any inflammation in the thyroid gland, sir?
Madam, still we are in basic actually. Inflammation in thyroid gland, like one simple concept I will tell you, you can understand why the inflammation will be there. For example, consider I have given some work to you, any particular assignment I have given to you. When I give some assignment, then consider the assignment is very simple one and you can finish off that assignment. Regularly that assignment will be there. Consider suddenly one day what I did, I have given the assignment a double. That means more number of assignments I have given to you. Then two problems will be there, two concepts will be there. Either you can complete that assignment without any complaint, or otherwise you will complete the assignment with some complaints. You will say that the assignment I can complete, but so it is too much for me. That is a complaint. Second option is, even though if it is more work is there, you will say that you will not complain, but you will finish off that work. But everybody will not behave in the same manner. Some people, what they will do, so always they are ready to do work, more work also, but constantly they will complain. Similarly, thyroid gland also same. For example, when normal work is there, it doesn't have any issue. When thyroid gland is forced to do extra work, then automatically what it will do, it will start to complain by inflammation. That means once there is an inflammation in the thyroid gland is there, that indicates that your thyroid gland is complaining. That means there is some problem is there. That's why it is trying to complain to you that I have some problem. So you have to identify the problem. And the question is, what problem is there? Apart from that, for example, apart from what is that? One second. So why it is complaining like that? Like you can say that just now I told that raw materials are required for the synthesis of which one, T3, T4 hormone. Consider the raw materials are very less. That means blood contains very less quantity of raw materials. Then automatically follicular cells, it will work hard to collect the raw materials. When your thyroid gland is working more to collect the raw materials, automatically it will start to swell. I'm not telling that it happens to each and everybody, but some individuals, definitely this problem is there. One simple example I will tell you. Consider this thyroid hormone requires iodine. No doubt about it, T3, T4 for its synthesis, it requires iodine. Consider whatever the diet we are consuming, it doesn't contain iodine. Very less amount of iodine is present. And definitely thyroid gland will swell. It will start to get enlarged. So this is one method by which your thyroid gland is telling that your body doesn't contain iodine. Are you able to understand or not? So like that, different methods are there by which one organ or gland will complain about it and then it will start to enlarge. This is one method. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, yes. Yes, any questions, please? Hello? Yes, any questions, please? No questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So any questions are there? Even the last topic also, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I can give clarification regarding that one. And tomorrow, for example, next class, I will, two parts will be there. The same day, two classes I will engage. Is it okay if I give some 10 minutes gap and as well as I will start second session? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to understand the point?
Yes, sir.
If I start, then 40 minutes will be there. If I give some 15 minutes gap and again if I start another class, is it okay for you or not okay? Are you able to understand my point?
Okay.
Okay, sir.
If it is required, for example, next topic, what will happen, it will be little lengthy. I'm going to talk about the biosynthesis of thyroid hormone. It will be very lengthy. Within 40 minutes, it may not be possible to complete. So what I will do, within 40 minutes, how much is possible, that much I will complete. Then we will give some 10 minutes break. Then again, I will re-invite you for the meeting. Then I can complete within 15 minutes or something in the second session. Is it okay for you?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, madam. Okay.
Yes, sir.